What's going on, everybody? Scott Bogman here for Betting Pros to give you my favorite picks and props for Week 7 of the college football season. Remember, love me or hate me, you can follow my picks on the Betting Pros app or at bettingpros.com/Bogman. Last week, 5-4 on the picks, 3-3 on the props, 2-4-2 on the touchdown calls. So a nice over 500 week there. We will absolutely take it. Let's go into it. Let's start tonight, Friday night, UNLV at Utah State. I'm going to take the over 66.5 in this game, and this one has crawled up from 63, where I actually took it. But I really like the scoring in this game. I mean, UNLV is going to put up a lot of points on Utah State. Utah State is a bad defense, but Utah State has been scoring ever since they've gone to new transfer quarterback from Iowa, Spencer Petras. His line over the last 2 starts for him, 53 for 86, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick with 665 yards. UNLV has allowed 300-yard passers in back-to-back games. Utah State doesn't quit. They put up 507 yards against Boise State last week and 30 points. So there's not a lot of quit in this team, although they are bad. And when I say they're bad on defense, they are bad. 131st in scoring, 123rd in rush yards allowed, 120th in passing yards allowed. So Utah State is bad. UNLV will put up a bunch of points, but I think this one goes to the over, and I'm going fast here because I have a lot of picks for you guys. I have 10 game picks and 11 props here today. So let's go to Penn State. I'm going to lay the points on the road at USC, and I know there's been a lot of talk about time zone travel and all of this stuff. Trends like that, I understand them, but I think Penn State is just a much better team here. And USC is better defensively than we thought they were going to be, but I wouldn't say they're good, right? 87th in rush yards allowed. They're 13th in pass yards allowed, but they faced Michigan, Wisconsin, and a couple other bad teams in here. USC doesn't get enough pressure on the quarterback either. Only 5 sacks this season. Penn State's going to get their best running back, Nicholas Singleton, back as well. And I really think there's a big mismatch between the Penn State defensive line and the USC offensive line. Penn State, 13 sacks in 5 games. USC passes a lot of the times. We saw Penn State get to Luke Altmaier 7 times. So USC passing at a 63.2% clip just doesn't feel good for their offensive line. So I'm going to take Penn State and lay the points in that one. I'm going to stay in the state of Pennsylvania here. I guess that one was in California, but Cal is going the other side to Pitt. But I'm going to lay the points for the Pitt Panthers here. It's 3. I'm going to take them here, and I don't hate the over in this game either, but I just think Pitt has too much offense in this game. Pitt 13th in the nation with 95 plays over 10 yards. Cal is 95th in the nation with 73 10-plus yards plays allowed. I just think that's not a good mix here. So I think Cal can stay in this game. Pitt's defense is bad. So I think Cal absolutely can stay in this game, but I'm going to take Pitt and lay the points at home. Big travel for Cal as well. Not a weird start time, but I just Cal is coming off that letdown. They should have won that game against Miami. Emotional letdown on the road. It's just a tough spot to be. My Longhorns are playing Oklahoma this week in the Red River rivalry game here. I don't ever bet on my own team because it's just the worst luck for me, and it's like losing twice. So I'm not going to do that here. What I am going to do is take the under 25.5 in the first half. That is going to be my bet in this game. It's minus 112. And the reason being, Oklahoma has done a good job of bottling up Texas in the first half of this game. And Quinn Ewers is coming off missing a couple weeks with injury and a bye week. I think both offenses start slow. I said on the show, the Wednesday show with Seth and Terrell, I think that Texas has never been put in a better spot to beat Oklahoma. Doesn't matter. They were in a really good spot last year to beat Oklahoma, and they lost straight up. So I'm not going to mess with this game. All the cliches you want, throw the records out the window, blah, blah, all of that. But I will take the first half under 25.5 in that game because I think we get a little bit of rust from Texas offense, and Oklahoma just does not have offense at all this year. So we will see, but I'm going to take the under 25.5 there. This one, SEC matchup. This is a little dicey, but I'm going to take Mississippi State because it's plus 33.5. Do I think Georgia can win by that much? Of course. Georgia is the much better team in this game. There's no doubt that they can. But I'm a Texas fan. I watched what Mississippi State did versus Texas, right? They lost Blake Shapen. They went with the new QB, and they slowed everything down with Michael Van Buren. Jeff Lebby said that this is going to be a week-to-week strategy in slowing down the pace, trying to control the clock, and it had them in the game in the first half against Texas. So, Texas was down the starting quarterback. They were rusty, all of that. But I think in this game, I think Mississippi State's going to slow it down. They've had 2 weeks to prepare. It's just a lot of points. Mississippi State did allow 522 points. They were sacked 6 times. They lost a fumble in their last game, and they still covered in that game against Texas. So I think they're going to be okay here. Got an extra week to prep. They're not going to be good. This is not going to be a Vandy situation against a top team at all. They're probably going to lose by 3 touchdowns at minimum, but I think they can stay within 33.5 because they slow this game down. Florida at Tennessee here. I'm going to lay the points and take Tennessee, and I know traditionally this is another game where it's a rivalry game. You throw out the cliches, you throw the records out the window and all of that stuff. I'm doing that. I don't care about the previous records. What I care about is the wins that Florida had were against teams that have no pass rush. And, they were killed by A&M at home last couple weeks. The top 4 pass block grade for Florida seems misleading, in my opinion, because they faced Miami. They were sacked 3 times. They were sacked twice against Texas A&M only, but they had 25-30 and 22-09. They didn't take a sack against Mississippi State, who has the worst pass rush grade in the country. Didn't take a sack against UCF, who only has 3 sacks this season. Tennessee has had issues offensively. And while Florida ranks higher in roster strength than Arkansas, Arky has been performing at a top 25 rate, and Florida has performed at 99th in the country on the defensive side. So for me, I think Tennessee's going to be able to move the ball, maybe not cleanly, maybe not efficiently, but I don't know that Florida and Graham Mertz are going to be able to do anything because Tennessee has a for real, scary, dangerous pass rush. And they, in their last 2 games that they won, they didn't face a good pass rush, and I don't think that they deserve this pass blocking grade that they have been given. So for me, I'm going to take Tennessee. I'm going to lay the 14 and see if we can get a dub there. One of my favorite games of the week, Ole Miss at LSU. I'm going to lay the points for Ole Miss, 3.5. They have not won at Death Valley in a long, long time. I understand that. It's been 7 years. My favorite bet is the 62.5, but in this game, I'll start with the under here. Trey Harris is probably going to miss this game. The standout wide receivers leading the nation, in receiving yards. LSU secondary is tough, so I still think Ole Miss is going to be able to score. But Ole Miss defense is why I'm taking them in this game and laying the points. They still haven't had a bad game, even in that loss to Kentucky. They have the number 1 overall grade on PFF. They lead the country in sacks. LSU has only allowed 2 sacks this year, but they faced 1 FCS team, then USC, who only has 5 sacks on the year, UCLA, who has 6, and South Alabama, who has 6. So, even with Ole Miss not having one of their best pass rushers, they still got to Lenore Sellers 6 times last week. So I know the environment, night, Death Valley, all that stuff, it makes sense for LSU. A lot of people, I'm definitely against public opinion here. A lot of people are taking LSU. A lot of smart money coming in on LSU. I get it. I just don't think they match up with Ole Miss this year. And I think Jackson Dart has enough experience. I think that LSU secondary is bad enough that even without Trey Harris, Ole Miss is going to be able to put up some points. So I'm going to take the Rebs and take the under in that game and play both sides here. Let's go to West Virginia, Iowa State at West Virginia. The total here is 52.5. I'm going to go with the over on this one. And this is because, I just think West Virginia is going to be able to score, and I think they can't stop anybody. That is basically what it's going to roll down here to. 2 losses that WVU has had. They were beaten defensively by good offenses, Penn State and Pitt. Iowa State is good passing the ball, but I wouldn't put them on that level with Penn State or Pitt. But Iowa State can run the ball, but Beck is going to be able to pass here. WVU has only has 11 sacks in 5 games, 80th in pass rush grade. They're terrible in coverage, 99th in pass yards allowed, and 126th in coverage grade. So Iowa State's going to be able to run or pass, whatever they want to do. And WVU has just been so good on offense. 10th national offensive grade, 14th in rushing yards per game, 33 points per game. Iowa State is 67th in rush yards allowed and grade 91st against the run this season. WVU has a lot, but still is top 25. Runs the ball, but is still top 25 in pace of play here as well. So weird environment again for Iowa State to go on the road as the number 11 team to West Virginia. You got to land at Pittsburgh. You got to travel by bus. The crowd is raucous and rowdy. It's going to be a lot of fun this game. But I think we see it go back and forth with a ton of scoring because I think WVU can score on almost anybody. Probably not, like the national contenders like Penn State. I don't think Iowa State's there. So for me, I like the over in this game. Last game to talk about before we get to some props. Let's go with Colorado. For my picks here, I will take the plus 3.5. Colorado's at home against Kansas State, but I also have money on the money line. So if you want to play this on the money line straight up, I understand. And the reason I'm doing this, I'm taking Colorado here against K-State. Number one, we've seen K-State be hideous on the road this year. Almost lost to Tulane, got murdered by BYU, So this is a road game at elevation in Colorado, and really what it is K-State has not been getting to the passer. 127th in pass rush grade. K-State does have 12 sacks, which is a lot, but 9 were between FCS Tennessee Martin. They had 4, and they had 5 against Tulane. Against P4 teams, 1 against Arizona, 2 against BYU, 0 against OK State. I don't think they're going to be able to pressure Shedeur Sanders, and that's exactly how Colorado won last week against UCF. UCF only has 3 sacks on the year, and Shedeur just sat back and picked them apart and put up 48 points. I think he's going to be able to do that against Kansas State at home. K-State plays bad on the road. Avery Johnson can definitely put up some points here, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Colorado wins that game going away. All right, before we get to the props here, I want to tell you guys about the Discord. Look, if you're looking to up your game in sports betting, join our exclusive sports betting Discord community at bettingpros.com/chat. Not only can you connect with expert handicappers who provide free picks for NBA, NFL, MLB, college sports, player props, live betting, and more, but now you can also participate in our weekly community picks, cast your vote, see how your picks stack up against the experts, and track your success over at the Betting Pros Discord. All right, let's go to the props. I've got 2 touchdown calls for you guys. We're going to go Antwane Williams, the Clemson wide receiver at Wake Forest. This is minus 115. Wake Forest 127th in passing yards allowed, tied for 101st with passing touchdowns allowed. And Antwane Williams already has 4 touchdowns this season. Clemson, a big favorite here. I think they go into Wake Forest and rout them, and I think Antwane Williams comes away with a score. And we're going to stick in the over of that West Virginia and Iowa State game, and we're going to take Jaylon Jackson, the running back, to score a touchdown here, too. This is plus 115. He had his breakout game last week. He had over 100 yards. He also ran for 2 touchdowns. I think they're comfortable giving him the ball a little bit more. They run kind of a 3-headed monster at Iowa State in the backfield, but he scored twice last week. He's moving into that leading back role for Iowa State, if there is one. Let's go to some passing yards props here. Fernando Mendoza, the Cal quarterback at Pitt. I think Pitt wins that game. Doesn't mean I don't think Cal is going to put up some offense in this game. Caden Fernando Mendoza here, great combo. The underdog, prize picks line is 255.5 on the passing yards. You can get this all the way up to 325 at plus 600 on DK. But his best 2 weeks were his last 2 weeks against FSU, 303 yards. Against Miami, 285 yards. Pitt, 95th in pass yards allowed, 63rd in coverage grade. Also, I think Pitt is going to be winning this game, so Cal may have to be playing catch-up late in this game as well. So give me the over on Fernando Mendoza at 255.5. Let's move to Max Brosmer, Minnesota quarterback at UCLA. The underdog prize picks line is 190.5 here, and you can bet this one all the way up to 250 on DK at plus 800. 225 is plus 350, and 200 is plus 170. He's hit this 190, I believe, 178 plus is what you can get on DraftKings. He's hit that in 4 of 6 games. 200 is 3 of 6 games. UCLA, miserable against the pass, 125th in pass yards, 103rd in coverage grade. Weird under the lights West Coast game, but like I said, maybe that means Minnesota is going to be playing from behind here. It could mean that, and maybe Max Brosmer needs to throw. We're going to combine this with the receiving total a little bit later here. Let's go to the rushing yard props. I got 3 of those for y'all. First one, Hajj-Malik Williams. We didn't get this last week. The number's 81.5, but I talked about Utah State, and I'm going to be hard-headed, and I'm going to go right back to this total. It's 2 starts, 24 carries, 172 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And he also stepped in the Utah Tech game in that blowout and had 10 rushes for 88 yards. I just think Utah State is really bad, really, really, really bad on defense. Probably the worst defense in the country. Hajj-Malik Williams is your number 1 weapon on this team. So I think he's just going to see a decent amount of carries. I think he can go over 100, which is at plus 195 on DK. If you wanted to bet this all the way up to 120, it goes to 425. His underdog prize picks number is 81.5, so that's going to be the number we take. That is minus 115. If you want to bump that up to 90, you're getting plus at 130. So I think those are all decent numbers. I think he goes over 100 yards, so we will see how that ends up. Let's go to Kaden Feagin, the Illinois running back against Purdue. 75.5 is the underdog prize picks number. You can get it 76 plus at minus 115, all the way up to 120 plus at plus 500. Purdue, 131st out of 134 teams this season rushing yards allowed. They grade 117th against the run as well. Illinois is 21.5 favorites, so they should be running the ball a ton in this game to burn the clock. So I really like Kaden Feagin to hit this rushing prop here as well. Let's go John Mateer, the Washington State quarterback. I'm taking 2 quarterback rushing props and 1 running back rushing prop here, but the underdog number is 61.5. Washington State on the road at Fresno State this week. 62 plus is not getting you very good juice on DK. It's minus 150, but you can bet this all the way up to 110 and get plus 650. Mateer rushing attempts in his last 4 games, everyone. 21, 16, 18, 20 for the season. 77 rush attempts, 453 yards, and 5 touchdowns. That's 36th in the country in rushing yards. Of any position of quarterbacks, he's 3rd. He's behind only Army quarterback Daly and Navy quarterback Horvath. So outside of those triple option teams, he is the number 1 rushing quarterback in the league. And Fresno State, they let Hajj-Malik Williams run for 119. They let Devin Dampier run for 67. This total is 61.5. I think he goes well over that one. John Mateer is magic with his legs for sure this season. All right, receiving props to end out the show here today. Let's go with Eric Singleton, the Georgia Tech wide receiver at North Carolina. North Carolina has had a lot of defensive issues recently. The total here is 57.5, which is kind of strange because 72 plus is what you can get on DK here, which is kind of surprising. But UNC has been awful against the pass. Last 3 games, 381 yards versus Pitt, 209 versus Duke, but Duke does not pass the ball a lot, and 388 yards against JMU. Singleton, at least 7 targets since week 1. His yardage totals 43, 86, 102, 88, 42 since that Ireland opener against FSU. And, you know, if you wanted to go to 100, you're getting plus 260 here. I don't know if that's the number. I like 80 yards at plus 120. Is a pretty good number, but like I said, the prize picks number, if you're just looking there, underdog number is 57.5. Let's go to Ja'Cory Brooks, the wide receiver for Louisville at Virginia. The total here on underdog prize picks is 77.5, and 80 plus will pay you minus 105 on DK. 4 of 5 games he has hit that. UVA is bad against the pass, 115th in pass yards allowed, 50th in coverage. They don't rush the passer particularly well either, 81st. Louisville's a favorite here. I think they win this game. I think Ja'Cory Brooks is a big part of it. Antwane Wells, the Ole Miss wide receiver at LSU, his prize picks number is 64.5. 67 plus will get you minus 115 all the way up to, if you wanted to go up to 100, it's plus 320. 120 plus is 650 here. Trey Harris, the leading receiver in the country, might miss this game. And we saw Antwane Wells get a huge uptick in targets last week after Harris went out. 10 last week. Could see way more in this game with Harris out, especially if this is a back-and-forth game and it's not Ole Miss winning like I think. I think Antwane Wells is one of my favorite ones of the week. 64.5, especially if Trey Harris is down. If you want to wait and see if he's down, I completely understand that. But I think he sails past this number. And the last one, I'm going to pair with Max Brosmer, Daniel Jackson, the Minnesota wide receiver at UCLA. His number is 52.5. 53 plus will pay you minus 125 if you hit that in 4 of 6 games. I talked about how awful the UCLA defense is. I don't think I need to pile on here. They're just very, very bad. So I think Daniel Jackson, again, maybe this is a weird travel game for Minnesota, going across time zones and all that stuff. And they have to play but that leads us to more passes. So I think either way, Daniel Jackson can sail over 52.5. I don't think that number is going to be an issue at all. That is it for me. Like I said, I believe 10 picks, 10 straight picks, and then 11 props as well. So lots to pick from. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and good luck this week, and I will see you next week. Take it easy, everybody.